All right. Hello, everyone. Can everyone hear me? We're going to start um, in a minute or two. Let's give folks 1 or 2 minutes. It's 8 o'clock right now. If someone can, yes, do me a favor.
Perfect.
Thank you. Perfect.
Thank you, NSP.
And you can see the presentation, right? No problem with that as well. All right. Awesome. Let's give folks again another minute, and then we'll get started with the presentation.
Where is it?
1 second, let me send this link. People are texting. Can you share the link,
Sure.
this link with me in WhatsApp so I can forward it? Just that link is fine. Yep. Perfect. And okay. Alrighty, it's 8:02. Let's get started. Let me see my picture on the screen. I want to make sure everyone can see my handsome face. Let me see. Okay, got it. Let me double check here. Perfect. All right. So, welcome everyone. My name is Hassan, and
My name is Omar.
We're from CyberNow. We're here tonight to go over our cybersecurity analyst training program and basically talk about what do you need to do to break into cybersecurity and start your first job as a cybersecurity analyst. What are the things that you need to do on your end, and what is CyberNow doing today with its training program, and how it's allowing you, people like you, to land their first job in cybersecurity. And we'll talk about the program, the details, the curriculum as well, and we'll take your questions. On the right hand side, there's the comment box. Please, if you have any questions, just type it in there. We'll be reading the questions as we go, and we'll also have more than enough time at the end to take your questions. So there's no need to rush. Take your time. Um, it's about 8:05, so I'm going to quickly start the presentation. First, the boring stuff. My name is Hassan again. I'm a senior manager at Capital One, as I work as an information security officer. What it really means is I oversee the information security program for Capital One Bank. So those of you who are in the United States, everything that you see in Capital One branches and cafes, both from hardware and software perspective, including our cloud programs, it goes through our office. And by the way, we've got a lot of people from different countries. I started by saying good evening, but I should have also said, I guess, morning and afternoon as well. We've got some folks in the East and West. So let me mention that, and then let me get back to myself very quick. I worked at Mastercard, Alberca, and so on. Most of my infosec career has been in financial industry, in banks, so to say, and I've got various certifications in infosec. I have a bachelor's in computer science from University of Maryland, Baltimore County, and I also have a I was very close to getting that master's degree from Şehir University, cybersecurity engineering, but I dropped out. And Ömer, if you can talk about yourself.
Hello, everyone. As Hasan said, good evening, good morning, and good afternoon to all of you. And my name is Ömer, and I'm currently working at IBM as a Security Operations Center Manager. I have been in the field almost 10 years, and I started my career as a Security Operations Center Analyst. I previously worked on various companies. One of them is NormShield, which is another startup company that I founded 2 years ago, and hopefully it's growing so fast nowadays. And the other companies I work for, Mark Monitor and Ingersoll Consulting, which is I work as a contractor to one of the federal agency here in Washington D.C. And also I have 2 years. I have worked for 2 years at Alberca Turk back in Turkey as well as a information security specialist. I'm also holding like a couple of certification, and the best one is like CASSP. And also, unlike Hassan, my background is like not in IT, not in related, and not even close to IT. I'm having a bachelor's degree in psychological counseling and guidance, and I did my master's degree in business administration master at Shepherd University in West Virginia. So that's pretty much about me, and I've been always in the technical side of information security, and currently still working on the technical manner on daily basis.
Yes. The reason why we kind of spend a little time on our profiles before we start the program is we want to really show you two faces here. One, I've got a computer science background. I studied computer science in college and so on. So I've got the computer background. On the other hand, Ömer, if you look at his education here, it's psychological consulting, and he has an MBA. Was it health-related MBA,
Yes,
something like that, right?
concentration and health administration as well.
It doesn't have anything to do with cybersecurity. And now he's a SOC manager at IBM, and myself at Capital One. So this really shows you that it's really not about your education background. I used to work in. We both worked in Turkey for a little while as well, and I know people like to take a look at other people's background and say you have to have like a comp sci degree to be able to work in an information security field. That doesn't work here, and while I'm on this, I want to also briefly mention something. I meant to talk about it at the beginning, but I forgot. The program that we're talking about today is targeted for United States only. I know there are a lot of folks from other countries as well, so just please bear that in mind. The curriculum is for U.S. and those of you who are joining from other countries, I think you will find it beneficial, and you will find a lot of good information in it that you can apply within your country. You will need to do some research on top of this to just to be able to see if you can do information security related jobs in your country. But we will be only talking about United States only. I just wanted to mention that before I forget again. Quickly. Oh, all right. So we want to also quickly talk about the team here. I'm just going to skim through this quick. I'm not going to spend much time. We've got a lot of other folks who are on our team and who are also working as an advisor as well. We've got Adam, who has 12 years of experience, and he's I would say hardcore pen tester, and he's done a lot of great work in the past. He's been on Botcrowd top 10 multiple times. top three as well. If you know what bug crowd is, if you don't know what it is, you can Google it afterwards. Brent, he's the network guy. He has over 20 plus years of experience in network, so you can tell um, how knowledgeable he is in network. We also have advisors, Dr. Bıçak and John Dunn. Dr. Bıçak is a professor at Marymount University, and he's been teaching cyber for a long time now. And John Dunn he's currently the CTO of a cybersecurity startup called NormShield. He's got so many certifications. I'm not going to go over all of them. He's an expert from all different. There are a lot of different aspects of cyber. He's one of those unique people who have expertise in many of those fields in cyber. We also have New Jersey team, Dr. Ilhan and Said. Dr. Ilhan he's currently working at the University of Cincinnati, and he holds, I believe, 2 PhD degrees, and he'll be in our New Jersey location. And Said he's been working in cybersecurity for over 7 years. He'll also be teaching cybersecurity classes in our New Jersey location. Now, uh, just we're going to go through this briefly, but who is this training for, or who should be thinking about starting a career in cyber? This is an important question. I think we should all be clear about this. That's why I wanted to put this slide here. So I can't, of course, if it was an in-person meeting, I would say raise your hand. Right now, I can't, but
Maybe they can type faster.
yes, maybe we can do that. So you are already working in IT at some capacity, or you're seriously interested in changing your career, or you're proficient, like you are proficient in tech in general, not necessarily IT, but you have that tech, you're that tech savvy person in your department, for example. People come to you to fix something when something gets broken with their laptops and so on. And also, you may have watched an episode of Mr. Robot and just curious. That's okay as well. And you want to understand whether cybersecurity is the right field for yourself. We will definitely be addressing this question today. And just anyone who wants to learn about cybersecurity in general. So if you're not in one of these categories, you may be watching the wrong session today. So please make sure. All right. So why cyber? This is an important question. In United States, we've got a lot of. We both work in cybersecurity in the field for many years. We've been working for many years, and we've seen it ourselves as well. We can't find talented people. And all of the numbers that we were able to find, all of the data backs this up in many ways. If you go to Google and search for cybersecurity talent gap, you're going to see numbers that start from 1 million to 6 million. So, and one of these numbers are here. It means that we'll be short of 1 million IT soldiers, and it's not going to go away. We're not going to be able to fulfill this anyway, right? And for the next 5, 10 years, maybe 20 years, this trend will continue. So that's why cybersecurity should be your top priority if it's a good fit for you, for your personality. And as CyberNow, we want to be able to fix this, and we want people who are willing to make that decision and change their careers to cybersecurity, and we're willing to help them out with their decision. And at the end, we help them basically with their goals, and help them land their first cybersecurity job. So that's why you should be thinking about cyber. If you haven't thought about it, and if you're just watching this just to get some information, you should start thinking about it, especially if you are that tech savvy person. Now there are a lot of different roles in cyber. It's not just technical. People, when we say cybersecurity, people tend to think about those people with their hoodies on, hacking stuff, and so on. That's not always the case. In fact, I don't usually wear hoodies that much, but today I decided to wear one for some reason. Most of the jobs, I would say half of them. Let's not say most. Half of them are not are non-technical roles, roles that are like sales account manager, security project manager. Um, if you have a project management background, for example, and you can blend in cyber somehow, you can become a security project manager or technical project manager at big companies, and they're looking for those people. I know that because I've been doing a lot of research on job postings and what companies are looking for, and so on. As you can see, cybersecurity attorney. Those of you who have attorney background, if you are a lawyer, for example, you can make use of that. Lawyer wise, it's not that easy. I can assure you that, but it's not impossible at the same time. There are technical writers, security awareness trainers. There's an insider threat team, for example. Their job is to analyze insider threats from me, for example, as an employee of Capital One. One more thing I forgot. I wanted to say it at the beginning, but I'm from Capital One and Ömer is from IBM, but we don't represent Capital One or IBM. We're not talking on behalf of any of those companies. It's just me and Ömer personally here. We don't none of the stuff that we're talking about is from Capital One or IBM. Just want to put that disclaimer out there. Um, there may be lawyers watching us, so we want to be careful. Non-technical roles. There are also other roles. Technical roles, as you can see, there's a lot more. Security engineer, pen tester, intrusion detection analyst, cryptographer, vulnerability assessor, and so on. You name it. There are so many of them. And there are leadership roles, which we're not going to go into today. But those of you who are at the beginning of their career should really think about this. Like, once you get into cyber, once you have your first job, what do I want to do within 10 years or 20 years? Do I want to become a CISO of a billion-dollar company one day in 10 years or 20 years? You should really start thinking about those targets, and that really helps you with motivation, motivation-wise. So, top 10 demand roles in cyber. Do we have questions, by the way, right now?
A couple of them. One is about why cybersecurity analyst is not among the hottest job in the US for the year 2018.
So Mesut Haskur is asking why cybersecurity analyst is not among the hottest jobs in the US for the year 2018. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure what research you are referring to here. If you have a data point, a reference to that claim, then I would take that and we can talk about it. I'm not sure where you're getting that, but I'm going to show you within a couple of minutes. I'm going to show you some numbers, and hopefully that will answer your question. If you don't mind, can you please define cybersecurity? Is it same as data security or IT security? What are differences? Okay. Data security is actually part of cybersecurity. Cybersecurity is a very broad term. And for example, at my company, we call our department cyber. Everything that goes under that has to do with information security or IT security in general is under a cyber program. And there's a Wikipedia definition of what cyber is and so on. But in general, it's used. Cyber is a very broad term that covers IT security and data security, under one umbrella. It covers, for example, information security as well. As part of my job, I do data security. That's actually one of my top priorities. I do a lot of AWS cloud security related work and data migration. Data security is my number one priority when I review those applications architectures and assess them from a cybersecurity or like risk management perspective.
Okay.
So
let's move on,
move on.
and then
Okay.
we'll discuss all the questions and answer all the questions at the end of the
All right. Can
presentation.
you move your view to the top right corner?
Yes,
It blocks
that's
the
important.
presentation.
If you can just move us on the
Great
right corner.
Great feedback. I'll do that right now.
I think that should be better.
All right. Let's wait a second. See if helps.
Perfect.
All right. I think it's good now. Perfect. All right. So top, we're good, right?
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
let's
Top
move
10 in-demand roles in cyber. If you were to search for cybersecurity jobs, these are the top 10: security engineer, security analyst, and information security analyst. As you can see, these are entry-level positions, as you can imagine. And what we're targeting with our program is the second and the third title: security analyst and information security analyst, security operations center analyst. These are the top three roles in cyber. I have the top recruiters. There's a lot of so this slide really talks to people who are in the U.S. right now. Depending on your status, you will find that different type of jobs are open to you. For example, if you are a U.S. citizen and if you have clearance, top secret or secret, whatever, you will have no problem, almost no problem, of finding a job. You'll probably land something immediately. And these are some of the companies that are hiring. Northrop Grumman, General Dynamics, these are huge companies. And I actually show this slide to in our Virginia. By the way, we're in Virginia, Washington, D.C., right next to D.C. I show this slide in my Virginia information session, specifically because all of these companies have presence and huge presence in DC, Virginia, and Maryland area. We're going to go back to that status comment. We're going to revisit that in a couple slides. I know you're wondering, but let's talk about the numbers here first, and then we'll get back to that. So here's a brief search. I did this search about, I believe, a month ago or so. If you were to search for SOC analysts in DC metro area, you will see that there's about 1,600 of them available, and at various companies. Some of them are private, some of them are government contractors, but there are 1,600 of them junior ones. And as you all know, LinkedIn doesn't cover all of them. This is just the ones that are on LinkedIn. And let's get to numbers. And by showing this one, I'll show you. I'll be answering that previous question. So, location. When you first open up a business, those of you who are entrepreneurs, the first thing that you look at is location, right? Location is the most important. Those of you again who are in the United States, United States is probably the most hottest job market for cyber today. And as you can see from this slide here, there's about close to 285K openings, and there's close to like 750,000 cybersecurity workforce in the United States today. And if you look at the supply of cybersecurity workers, it's extremely low, very low. And geographic concentration is average. What does that really mean? We'll see that on the next slide. But this slide really tells you that the supply is extremely low. And I can tell you from my personal experience as well, it's a tough job for every manager in cybersecurity to find the right talent. And this both applies to IBM and Capital One. Doesn't really matter where you work or what type of work you're doing. It applies to everything basically. Now, those of you who are in DC area, this one shows this one slide should make you feel really good. If you look at the supply, it still says very low. However, the national average is 2.0, Virginia is 1.9, and if you look at geographic concentration, it's very high. National average is 1.0, Virginia, DMV area is 6.7. There are so many cybersecurity companies out here in DMV area. It's actually, as you all know, there's a Silicon Valley in California, right? Virginia DMV, this DMV area is trying to make its name and become the Silicon Valley of cybersecurity, and that's why there are so many companies out here that are specialized in cybersecurity. Small companies as well as big ones. Not all of them are huge, but there are also small businesses as well that are working in cyber because there's a lot of incentives. Cybersecurity specialist technician, what do they make? Average salary is around 81K across US. Now, this really depends on where you live as well. As you know, the salaries in, I don't know, like in Texas and Virginia are not the same. There's a there's about 15% ish difference, and that's just a rough number. I don't have any data to back that, but I know my company, for example, has something along those lines as in terms of difference. Um, InfoSec specialist, common titles, openings. Let's continue to the next one here, real quick. So, what do we offer, and what do you need to get your first job in cyber? First of all, you need technical training, and some of you may also need soft skills training and job placement support, networking. Now, we offer technical. What do we mean by technical training? Is it on the next slide? Yes. These are the three things that you're going to need to get your first job. So, as CyberNow, we offer a curriculum, and this curriculum is we covered in 3 months, about 12 weeks, and it's 40% lecture, like theoretical stuff, like Security Plus topics, and 60% completely hands-on material. Omer works at IBM SOC. He's been in SOC for a long time. He's managing there. He's managing the SOC there, and he brings real life scenarios and works through those scenarios with students. What does that really mean? That means after you graduate and take your first job, when you sit down on your first day of job, you will know exactly what to do. When they give you first task, you will know what to do. You will know those tools. You will know how to manage incidents and so on. We try to give as much as of that because in most of the trainings that we do go to trainings as well. Don't get us wrong. Omar actually went to so many trainings. I only went to one or two last year, but he went to about like 4 or 5, maybe
Yeah, last
more
year
than that.
I went like 4 or 5 different
Yes,
trainings, yes, that I
and
attended.
most of those trainings, what you will find is what we found at least. And again, don't get me wrong, but for example, I got my CISSP training from one of the most well-known CISSP instructors. And what happens is um, there's a set of slides, and they go through those slides within 5 days. Those are boot camps. Those are for people who already know the material, but who just needs that final push before the exam, and so that they can remember, memorize everything, and then take the exam. Otherwise, it's not possible for someone to digest that information, internalize it within a week. That's just not possible because there are so many topics that's covered. It's almost impossible unless you're Einstein or something like that, which I'm definitely not. So, um, training wise, what we do is we try to make it longer. We put everything in 12 weeks, right? And divide topics in such a manner that we make sure you understand that topic before we move on to the next one. And we actually give you some time to study that before we move on to the next one. It's not like we're dumping a bunch of information on you. And the technical part is really exciting as well. It's really fun. It's fun because you get to do real world scenarios, real world problems, exactly the things that a tier one analyst or a tier two analyst sometimes does in a security operations center like environment. Part of this is, so the second step is certifications, right? As part of the program, the lecture part is actually towards Security Plus certification. That's a must. We ask each one of our students to take that certification at the end of the a class, or even before that if they are ready. And some students did that, and it's possible. It's not rocket science. It's if you study, you will do it. Security Plus is a must certification before we can start working with you on your resume and try to help you with your with getting your first job. We have a very good network in especially in the DMV area and in some in other some of the other states as well. We do our best to help you out with our network. Now, um, this is a sample job post for a security operations center analyst job. And I'm showing this slide just to tell you that anything that you see on this, you're going to learn it in the class, and you're going to learn even much more than this. These are very generic like responsibilities that can be covered. One thing that you're going to notice here, it says 24/7. Most of the not maybe all of them, all the SOCs are 24/7, 365, and that gives you an opportunity to actually um, land your first job a little easier, because none of the senior guys in that team will want to work in the second or third shift. But if it's your first job, you may want to take that and use that as a step to land your second one, which is going to be much better, both in terms of payment and in terms of hours and benefits and so on. All right, these are some of the topics that we cover in class. I'm not going to go each one of them, but on the left-hand side, you see the lecture side of things. On the right-hand side, you see all the technical materials, stuff that we're going to be covering in class. We start with network security. Network security topics are, I would say, one of the most important topics of Security Plus and information security in general. Once you have that knowledge, that foundation, we can easily build on top of that. And on the right hand side, you see a lot of different terms, tools, and so on. It shouldn't get scared. Once you start studying, we're going to teach you all these different terms, and it's going to it's going to look much easier once you know those terms. All right, certifications. I talked about Security Plus and CEH. I didn't talk about CEH, but it's not covered here, so I'm going to pass on CEH. Security Plus I already talked about. These are some of the certs in cyber. You can take a look at this. There's so many of them. Once you get your Security Plus and have 1 or 2 years of experience, you can dive into any of these fields with all of these different certs. If you want to become work in a, for example, compliance type of job, you can then work on getting your CISA certification, and then maybe CISSP and so on, CEH. Or if you want to do hands-on technical stuff, then you can do OSCP as well. Your network will bring your jobs, your first job at least. So networking is very important, and this is where we actually show our value to our students. We use our network extensively and make sure that your resume lands at the hands of as many hiring managers as we can possibly do. So from that perspective, you are covered. Let me see. A couple things here. Um, would you like to cover this one
Sure,
real
sure,
quick?
no problem. Sounds like you are tired.
Let
Meanwhile,
me
I'm
take
also
it.
sick, and thanks Hassan for taking care of the presentation up to now. So, here in this slide, we talk about what we do not offer you guys, which is we do not prepare fake resumes. So, in the field, we have been hearing about the fake resumes, and some of the applicants actually just ask us when they contact, hey guys, are you going to, since we are not, we don't have any experience in IT security or IT, would you guys be able to just change and show any experience in our resumes? And we definitely say no. This is a fraud, and we do not encourage anybody to showing any fake information on their resumes. So that's the one thing. And also we have been getting a different question about the salaries, and people are coming and asking us, hey, how much I can make, and people are talking about that we can make easily over 100K in our first job. No, that's not true. So in order for you to just make that much and above, so at least you should have 2 or 3 years of experience at minimum. If you guys are lucky in this field as a security analyst, you can start your career about, it depends on the location and the certification, number of certification you will have. So somewhere around between 50 to $80,000. And also, we like to emphasize here that we just teach you how to do this job, and we give you the opportunity to change your career from something else to IT security. And meanwhile, we don't guarantee a job, but we support you finding a job, and we do our best to help you out preparing your resume in a technical manner, as well as just giving you some soft skills how to handle those stressful interviews. Just we practice with you guys, and as well as we have many friends are those are volunteers who can just help you out, just giving a phone call and giving you like um, the taste of the real interview actually. So we do not guarantee job, but we will do our best to find you a good job and a good position within our network. So, but we do not guarantee jobs. And also, last one is turn people into ethical hacking with a magic wand. So I don't know what does this mean. You
It
tap the
means that
slides.
it means that it requires a lot of hard work. It doesn't happen overnight, and it doesn't happen just because you come join one of our classes. It's really two things: us, trying to give you something, some knowledge, and you really studying hard every day. The program itself is like 13 hours a week, but you've got to put another 13, 12 hours on top of that, at least 2 hours a day, to be able to become successful. It's not an easy task. Don't get me wrong, but it does pay off if you stick with it and be patient. I can tell you that, but it doesn't happen overnight. If you happen to just like cyber from Mr. Robot, that may not work out well. You want to make sure you're going to be dedicating your time for this, and you are dedicated to change your career to cybersecurity. And lastly, whenever we talk about jobs, we don't offer just a job here. It's really a career decision. Once you start working in cyber, you'll notice that there's so many opportunities out there, both technical and non-technical jobs. You're not going to want to leave, and and you will probably work the rest of your life in cybersecurity. At least there's enough for all of us. So you're not going anywhere. Now, let's get to schedule real quick. Duration is 12 weeks. It starts on February 9th and ends on May 2nd. This is our online in-person and online class. Both, it's the same. Class schedule is Tuesdays and Wednesdays from 7 to 10 p.m. and Saturdays from 9 to 4 p.m. Again, these are all Eastern Standard Times, EST, New York, DC time zone. If you live in, I know there are folks from Texas, Chicago as well, and there are a lot of other states. I can't remember right now, but I think the most problematic one will be California. You guys will need to wake up a little earlier than other people, but you'll be done earlier as well. So it's to your advantage. So we're going to be broadcasting the live class, and take your questions along the way as well. We're going to be using an online platform called Canvas. So it's just going to be one of those online like university classes that you're taking. Everything will be posted on Canvas. We're going to be tracking you with Canvas, posting all the assignments there, all the materials, and then you'll be watching the class online from Tuesday, Wednesday, and Saturday. And those recordings will be uploaded to Canvas as well, so you can watch them later on if you want to. Your cohort will have access to those recordings. Other than that, I'm not sure if I missed something. Let me go to the next slide. This is the slide that you've all been waiting for. Tuition. So the in-class tuition is an online class tuition is $3,000, but this is going to be our second cohort. So we're giving a $500 discount to all students. You must sign up before January 31st, though. And so the total cost comes down to $2,500, and 50% of this is required before January 31st. The rest of it is divided into 3 equal installments. We sign a contract with you, do all those legal stuff, legally binding stuff, and set up the payments, so we don't need to worry about that after we start the class. It doesn't cover the exam voucher or the book. Online students, we have a very diverse student body, so everyone will be purchasing their books by themselves. It's about $35 on Amazon, Daryl Gibson's Security Plus book, and the exam voucher itself is around like $350. But if you know someone who has a .edu email account, you can actually get 40% discount on the exam voucher. As CyberNow, we're an official CompTIA partner, and we can give you 10% discount. But if you have .edu account, I'm sure you probably have a friend. If you're not a student, you must have a friend somewhere who can help you with getting that voucher, and that's going to save you a lot of money. So please do that. Don't come to us for exam vouchers. If you do, just know that there's only 10% discount. So price-wise, this is it. And yeah, lastly, you can drop it until February 17th, and you'll be reimbursed for the full amount. Now, I think we've talked a lot, so let's take a look at some of the questions. Batuhan, I have 4 years of experience as a network security engineer in Turkey and Dubai. Perfect. I have some certification and training. So this was helpful for me, or only for starters? If you have 4 years of experience as a network security engineer, and I'm not sure what certifications you have.
That's the important part, actually. What type of certifications you have? If you could just type those, we can give you a better answer on that.
And as part of network security engineer job, the job responsibilities and tasks really change from company to company. But assuming you did some network security work, you may not find that you have CCNA.
Yep.
Okay. Is that the only one? If you have CCNA and 4 years of experience, you can probably take Security Plus by yourself.
Yep.
And go from there. You probably won't need. This class at all, since you have 4 years of experience. You have the foundation. You just need to You just need to sit down and study for those certifications. That's pretty much it. You have the experience, and you can find jobs easily because you can show that experience on your resume.
Yeah.
The next question is, how the future of this industry, do you think it's possible to start your own company and work as
Security contractor.
security contractor? um, so just like any other just like any other uh, job field, I would say, if you don't have enough number of years of experience, you can't start your company because people are in security. Credibility is important. One of the reasons, at least I know some of you are listening to us today, is because you trust us with our backgrounds. I have a security background. I have close to 10 years, and Omar has 10 years of experience in cybersecurity. That gives you some level of confidence, right? So it's that same thing applies in business as well. If you have enough numbers of years of experience and credibility within the sector, then yes, you can. But if you don't, I wouldn't recommend.
Okay.
I have a PhD in clinical psychology. Does your course work for me because I don't have any experience in cybersecurity? So, that's a great question. Who would be a great candidate for this class? We get that question a lot, and I'm just going to say this. The simple answer is, first of all, you really need to be good at English. You need to be, you need to be able to present yourself, your case in an interview, talk about yourself, and prove your case. If you're asked a question, if you're asked for your opinion, you need to be able to state that. So, language-wise, there should be no barrier. And the other part of it is, again, being tech savvy and really wanting to do this, wanting to change your career, and dedicating yourself to that. As I mentioned at the beginning, Umar is he has a psychological counseling degree and guidance degree. So that doesn't have anything to do with IT. And his MBA doesn't have anything to do with IT as well. But he started working as a
It helps me in the management nowadays. So.
Yeah, right now it helps. But at the beginning, it didn't mean anything. At least for security-wise, it didn't mean anything. But right now, at least you can use that and say I have an MBA. But at the beginning, it didn't mean anything. It's all it's a matter of whether you really want it or not. If you have English, and since you asked this question, I remember one of the topics that I told you guys that I'm going to talk about. Status is important as well. What's your current status in the United States? So let me start from the top. If you are a U.S. citizen, you are likely to find your job much easier than all others, right? Almost everything is open to you, other than the jobs that require top secret type of clearances. But most of the other jobs are open. Personally, I haven't worked in government sector at all in my life. I've always been in private sector, and I like it. Private sector actually pays much better, just so you know, than government. So it's not a must. If you have green card, then you have less number of jobs open to you. I'm just going to put out these numbers, like rough numbers. I can't back it with data. I couldn't find any data on this one, but these are just my feelings, so don't take it wrong. But let's say if a citizen can apply to like 100% of jobs, green card holder can probably apply to about 70% of the open jobs as well. 70%. Green card holders are basically permanent residents with employment authorization. I know there may be some people who don't have green cards, but who only have employment authorization in the United States. If you are one of those people, then that number goes down a bit more drastically to around, I would say, 30% or so. So what does that really mean? That means two things. You need to try much harder than other people who are citizens, for example. I know a guy who, a close friend of mine, who got his job at a bank, and he only has employment authorization. So it is possible, but chances are you're going to spend a lot more time than a U.S. citizen to land your first job. Once you have your first job, things are going to get much easier, but that first step is important. And we always tell our students to not, if you're in the US again, and if you happen, let's say you live in Texas and you found a job in Virginia, don't hesitate. If you can move to Virginia, take that first job wherever it is. Believe me, once you have 6 months to a year experience, recruiters will start calling you, and you will be choosing jobs among many of them. So, but you need to take that first step, and you need to take that as fast as possible. And the pay, we talked about the pay, it's somewhere between 50 to 80, 50 to 70 or so. But that's just the first job. Even if your first job pays you like 50K, the next one will definitely pay you much, much higher than that, 30 or 40% higher than that salary. So again, it's a matter of landing that first job. Any others?
Yep.
Is it possible to become security analyst without knowing average knowledge about OS, network, etc., except SOC analyst? Is it possible to become security analyst without knowing? Do you mean information security analyst? I'm assuming you mean that. Without knowing average knowledge, are you offering those knowledges such as fundamentals of TCP/IP or Active Directory or cloud? So we cover some of those, but not all. We don't cover anything that's related to cloud. Most of the entry-level jobs won't require cloud knowledge at all. I haven't seen any of them requiring cloud knowledge. But we do cover, as part of network security piece. Remember, I talked about some of the Security Plus topics, and I said network security is the core of this, of both Security Plus and the role itself. We cover these as part of the network security topic, and this is one of the first topics that we cover: TCP/IP, OSI layers. How does that communication work, and many other topics within that network security field. But that's a must. That's like the heart of this. If I start to work as a junior, do I work as a member of a big team or a small team? How many people do I work at? Okay, great question. Question from Ibrahim. Great question. So security operations centers are structured in this way. There's tier 1 analysts, tier 2 analysts, tier 3 analysts, and tier 3s are also either a manager or like subject matter experts, right? You will be starting as a tier 1 analyst, part of the tier 1 analyst team. And tier 1s, what do? They basically do monitoring. And I'm specifically talking about security operations center analysts, not information security analysts. That's a bit different. So tier 1s do monitoring. What it means is you basically monitor all the alerts that are coming from different tools that you have in the SOC environment. Each company has different tools, and you monitor those alerts, and you take action based on those alerts. There's this whole incident response process that you need to follow. But you're not the last guy standing that castle. You're not the last person. You're not going to be alone either. And no one is going to actually leave you alone there, because it's just not, no one does that. They want to make sure they can address things extremely fast. There are SLAs, service level agreements with companies. Whenever an alert comes in, you have to be able to solve it within a given time frame. What do you do as a tier 1 is you take a look at that alert, and if you are able to solve it and address it, then yes, you can do it, open your ticket, do your assessment, and get it done, close your ticket. But if you can't do it, then you pass it to the tier 2s. It's their job to make that assessment and come to a conclusion. There are cases where tier 2s can't make that decision. It's one of those unique cases. Then they pass it to tier 3s, SMEs, subject matter experts, malware analysis guy, or incident response manager, whatever it is, whoever is in that shift on that day. But you're not the last person. you're the first person, you're going to be seeing that alert in the first hand. But if you can't do it, you're going to pass it to tier 2, tier 3. So you're backed up. No problems with that at all. What do you think? How many students join your class? I mean, is your network is going to be enough for everyone? So first of all, Dervish Uluda, he's asking, what do you think? How many students will be joining the class? Is your network is going to be enough for everyone? I'd like to clear something very quick. It's not our network that needs to be strong here. We are going to be supporting you by sharing your resumes with our network, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't be applying to jobs by yourself. It should be your top priority to apply and find a job, but we'll be supporting you using our network. And we don't have, I don't think we should give numbers here, but we try to keep our classes as small as possible so that we can give our attention to each one of those students. Just to give an example, in New Jersey, we've received so many applications. We could double our class today, but we decided not to do that and keep people on the wait list and have them either sign up online or sign up for the next cohort, because we want to make sure we're able to spend some time with each one of our students. That's really important to us. And again, it's really our network will help you, but that's not the only thing. And as I showed you, there are about like 1,600 open ones in Virginia. Do we know all of them? Absolutely not. But do we know companies that may be willing to hire you? Yes, and we will do our best.
See?
Will it be possible to land the first job with only CompTIA certifications like Network Plus or Security Plus? Yes, you will be able to land your first job with Security Plus. Maybe not Network Plus, but Security Plus. I'm talking specifically from security perspective.
For SOC roles.
For SOC roles, for information security analyst type of roles, Security Plus is a must, and it will be enough because you're applying for a junior level position. In fact, if you want to take those other certifications like CEH, it requires at least 1 year of experience, or it requires a boot camp. If you want to take other like high-level certifications, CISSP requires 5 years of experience. You can't even take that certification. Again, we're applying for junior levels, but as soon as you land your first job, what are you going to do? Are you going to sit down there and become, stay as tier 1 till the rest of your life? Hell no. You're going to study your first job. Let's not talk about companies here, but you'll find yourself studying for your next certification as soon as you start your first job, right? What should be your next target? CEH, Certified Ethical Hacker. Easy. If you did well on Security Plus, you can do well on CEH as well. It looks at things from different perspective, but at the end of the day, it's the same security knowledge. It's the same security concepts that it covers. It covers it a little bit more from hands-on perspective, but at the end of the day, it's pretty much the same thing.
So next question is, are you going to teach database and coding? So in this cohort, actually in this training, we are not going to teach any of these coding and as well as the database knowledge. Because of any junior analyst role doesn't require any of these. You don't have to do any coding, and as well as you don't need to know databases as well. But we will be covering some web application and database attack types in the web application security topics at the end of the course.
Yes.
So
if you know
it's always
about databases, or if you know a programming language, that's a plus. That's a very big plus right there, but it's not required because you're applying for a junior level position. If you were to apply for example, application security specialist, right? Then yes, programming knowledge will definitely help you. Database knowledge will definitely help you as well. But it's not the first. That's the second that's the second or third role. So
okay. Harun is asking about the schedule. So our classes will be on Tuesday from 7 to 10, on Eastern Time, and as well as Wednesdays on 7 to 10 for lab only. We will not be teaching any new topics on Wednesdays, and also on Saturdays from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. in Eastern Time again.
Yep.
So it will be applicable to any of the students in class and as well as online students. It's the same schedule. So on Wednesdays we will be only having your questions while you guys are doing your assignments and as well as the reviewing your topics from previous classes.
Yep. The second question, Halil Bey is asking, when is the second training? Great question. The second one will start in June, July.
Somewhere in end of June or July, at the beginning of July.
End of June, beginning of July.
Yeah.
Last week of June or first week of July. That's the second, or I should say the third one. The third
Yep.
cohort will start around that time.
Training
Onur
program.
Bey is asking, I joined training program in New Jersey 4 weeks ago. Do you have available space in class for
Oh.
New Jersey course? So we currently don't have any availability for our New Jersey class. That's going to start on February 9th. As I mentioned in the beginning, there's a wait list, and I don't think any one of those people will make it anyways. But if you are seriously thinking about registering, I would go to our website. Here it is, cybernowlabs.com, and there's an apply now button. Please fill out that application form to save your spot for the next cohort. So that, because we're basing that, when we go over our applicants, we go over them based on that submission date. So if you can submit that today, we will give you a call, and we'll talk through details and what would work best for you in your case, whether online is doable or not doable, or whether you should wait till the next one that's going to start in June-July timeframe. Can you give me some basic information? What companies, human resources are focused on?
Job interviews.
What are the points that we will show to them? Can you give me some basic information? What companies, human resources are focusing on? Oh, what are they looking during those job interviews? You mean? Assuming most of the
what it means.
Okay, most of us don't have enough experience. What are the points that So you may not have a direct security experience in your past, but I'm sure if I were to talk to each one of you, unless you're completely like stranger to IT, you must have done something that's related to IT and in your background, right? In the past, and you can showcase those. And one other thing that we do as well is we try to train you for those questions. When you get to talk to a hiring manager, there are certain things that they're looking for, right? You can talk about for example, during the class, we're going to set up a home lab for you. You're going to have multiple VMs. Like you're going to have some sort of a very small secured operations center type of environment within your laptop, within your home lab. Those are the things that you should be talking about when you meet an HR person. Well, not HR person, I would say the hiring manager. HR wouldn't probably care about this, but the hiring manager will do, because these are really like hands-on stuff that makes difference to hiring managers. HR side is mostly behavioral. Behavioral questions are, we can talk about those later maybe. I know Nevzat Bey asked, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we'll have a chance to talk about those separately. What is the average salary, and do you have to support yourself by putting 5-6 years? And do you have to support yourself by putting 5-6 years of resume? So one of the things that we mentioned, things that we do not do. Again, we do not do in our program is we don't prepare fake resumes, and we don't recommend our students to write anything that's fake on their resume. If you were to write not even 5-6, you don't even need that. If you were to have 1 year of real experience in cyber, you're not going to stay in the market for more than a month. I can tell you that. So cybersecurity is not like any other jobs out there. I know a lot of people who are working in other industries, and um, let me not go into that.
Yeah.
Let me stop here. But we don't do that as
And also,
CyberNow. We don't do that.
first part of George's question is that what is the average salary? We
Hey,
mentioned that earlier. It's about like 50,000 to $80,000. It depends on the location and the number of certification you will have. But these numbers also based on the the people who has already Security Plus certification. So that's why we mentioned at the beginning of our presentation that having this Security Plus certification is almost must to
okay.
get into the cyber field, because we will be using that as a proof of knowledge, since most of you guys will not have any IT related experience.
Right.
So
And as Mustafa is asking, what are you going to teach us except from cybersecurity book? I think we covered that in the slides, but 40% is the lecture part. The other 60% is job related, hands-on knowledge. And I'm going to skip that because I think we've covered it
yep.
already. So, um, how can I do? My English is not enough. English is we would love to help, but it's not something that we can do anything about. So it's really on to you to improve your English to a certain level that you feel comfortable talking to other people and having interviews. Unfortunately, we have no way to support that from that perspective. I hope you can understand us. Is it possible to sign up online and come to your summer important classes? I'm located in Seattle. Seattle? Commuters, Seattle,
Washington,
Washington
Seattle. Yeah, that's what I
is a
hear.
concern, but would like to see some physical stuff too. How can we address this issue? So, if it's the same Seattle that I'm thinking, um, that's going to be an extremely long commute. I would not advise that, and I don't know what to say here
But
really.
if you really want to come and commute, yes, one or two times you can just join us here in class. And please do not, feel free to join us here during the, in class sessions as well.
Yeah, but
So
Seattle is I don't know. That's a
it will be a
long way.
long trip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If we miss another class, how can we make it up?
Great
Yes,
question, Matt.
Matt. So we are going to have the recordings on Canvas, so you can go to each module and just watch the recording of that specific class and catch up with the rest of the class that way.
Information. Thank you. Sorry, guys, I joined. Didn't know. Okay,
No problem,
George.
George.
No problem at all.
ID, how
How
can
can
I
I
do?
go?
Because my
Because
English is not good. I think we answered the English question earlier.
what is the next step? So next step is Ali Bey. If you already submit your application, we'll get back to you and we will discuss about your background and as well as your interest, and then we'll let you know the next steps. What's going to be actually.
Yes, if you are seriously thinking about applying, please go to cybernowlabs.com and click on apply now and fill in that application form so we can reserve your spot and give you a call to discuss the details. Only if you're seriously thinking about joining this program. I need your advice. I'm far away. All the cybersecurity, blah, blah, blah. Could you please tell me which one is the easier according to stress factors or technical? Okay. Which one? Cybersecurity,
I think,
program tester,
yeah, he wants us to just compare the
cybersecurity and testing
yeah,
engineer
automation
type of
testing
stuff.
engineer. Yeah.
So, cybersecurity and testing engineer is it's completely two different things. I can tell you that. And cybersecurity, um, I, I, I don't. I'm not that knowledgeable about what testing covers, but I know that they're teaching some programming classes as well. So it does require some programming knowledge. I'm a CS major. I did programming back in college, and one thing that I said to myself after graduating is I'm not going to program at all. I will avoid that if I can. It requires certain mindsets, And I personally don't like it. I'm not sure if you like it or not. If you do like programming and if you think you can advance in your career and not just stay as a tester and become a developer, then yes, it may be doable. Uh, but testers are, I don't consider that as a sort of like a permanent job. It's cybersecurity is you have a very good like job security. Once you have your job, you have that as permanently. It's not a contract job. It's a real job which has a real good career aspect to it. Um,
I think how hard is the Secret Plus? Oh my god.
all right. How hard is Security Plus?
Mhm.
It depends on. If you're asking me, it's extremely easy. For students who are just starting to learn about cyber, um, it usually takes about 2 months for them to take their Secret Plus certifications. If you, it's all about terminology. There's nothing hands-on in Security Plus. There are some performance-based questions in the exam, but most of it is completely dependent on knowledge, knowing different various like security concepts and being able to elaborate on them and compare them, contrast them, and so on. So if you have those type of skills, then you should be able to take that exam, and it's not that difficult if you're asking me. It's an entry level exam. It's not like CISSP, and it's much shorter. Not like CSSP. CSSP is like 6 hours or so. After your course is done, are we ready to take and pass which exams? Security Plus exam, and Security Plus is administered by Pearson VUE testing centers, and it's offered by CompTIA, and it's a well-known exam. If you were to, let's say, start here in the US, and I don't know if something doesn't work, you want to go to Canada or Europe, you can still use that certification. Everyone in cyber will know about that certification. Um, it's going to be Darvish is Ulda is asking, is there any difference between online and in class? So it really depends on each individual. Some individuals do really well with online classes. They're able to, stick to a schedule and um, and be consistent and be able to focus on that class. Some can't. For those students, I don't recommend online classes. For me, for example, I don't like online classes. I don't like to take online classes. I prefer in-class classes because if from instructor perspective as well, if here's the difference. If you're in class, I can make eye contact and I can uh, guess whether you're with me or not, right? We can have that communication. We have that communication channel open. But if you are online, unless you ask me your question, I will not know whether you understood it completely or not. So if you're taking an online class, there's more responsibility on your end. I can tell you that. And after the online class is over, it's over, right? There's that aspect as well. So it's not for everyone. I can tell you that. Again, your English should be really good, and you need to be able to, focus and really stick to that schedule. I know we'll be recording classes, but you shouldn't be thinking, hey, the classes are already recorded, so I'm just going to watch it the next day. If you already started thinking about that, online is not for you.
Okay. But also he's asking about, are we going to cover the same topics?
Oh, yeah.
Actually, these are the live sessions. Whatever we are teaching at the class, you will see the same topics and the same tools we'll be using. Everything will be watched and provided as a live session. So nothing
Yep.
different than in class.
Yep.
There is no difference on covering those topics. And we covered this. And
Sure. Bayram,
Bayram Bey.
is there recommended maximum age requirements to start this career, or can somebody in ages 45 to 50 years old with no IT background at all can make it? This is a very tough question.
Yes.
There is no easy answer. There is no yes or no answer. Um, is it more difficult for people who are around like 45 to 50 with no IT background? Absolutely yes. You're going to have much more difficult time than people who are in 30s and who have a little bit of IT background or who are tech savvy. It is going to be challenging. I can definitely tell you that. Um, Especially in the U.S., they don't. I mean, for example, in my current role, I have a manager who's I'm a senior manager. I have a manager who's working, and he's probably around at least 65 or so, but he's currently working as a manager. Um, so your age doesn't really determine anything, but if you're around 50 and if cyber is your first job and if you have absolutely no IT background, um, I I don't want to say yes or no, but it's going to be tough. I can
But
tell
at
you
least
that.
we know, especially for the ones who lives in the United States, there is no age discrimination here.
Yes.
We, as a hiring manager, I never ask for to interviewers or candidates' age, or the background, or the religion, or the cultural they are coming from. Actually, so that's kind of a discrimination. So nobody will ask you, but it might be difficult than the people who are just graduated from the college.
Mhm.
So, but there is no
Yes.
yes and no answer to that question. And as
Yeah.
well as I only known one person in my life, and it's about 10 years ago when I started for my career at Mark Monitor. There was an IT director actually, and he has been working for a couple of years at Mark Monitor, and he started his career at the age of 40. And previously, he was working as a salesperson and marketing person in a different field, but somehow he got into the Mark Monitor as a analyst, and then he became, after a couple of years, he became an IT director. So that's the only guy I know in my life, but there is no other example. So
Yeah.
I cannot give any names or just reference to that question.
Yeah. Um,
Um,
Job demand is
yeah.
okay. Ali Gümüş Bey. Job demand is showing same characteristics all over the U.S. Does it show the pattern in other states? When you so you're saying all over the U.S. and other states? Do you mean other countries or other states? So if you there's this website called cyberseek.org, cyberseek seek.org. You can go to that site and look at some of the numbers there, and you will find out that metropolitan areas like DMV area, DC, Maryland, Virginia, and New York City area, greater New York City area, including New Jersey, Texas, Plano
Yeah.
area,
Chicago,
Chicago
North
as well,
Carolina.
North Carolina as well. Those are very what do you call populated areas, and there are a lot of cyber and IT jobs in those areas as well.
There will be additional.
Ali is also asking, I heard that people can also work at home remotely. Is it a general practice or really rare? I would say it's really rare, um, unless you are extremely technical and you have enough numbers of years of experience so people can actually trust you, and you can and let you work from home completely. As for me, if uh, most of the companies, at least the big ones, will not mind if you work from home 1 day a week, like Fridays, for example. I usually try to work from home Fridays if it's okay, if I don't have any important meetings or so. But working completely from home, that only happens after you have enough experience and you prove yourself to that whatever company you work for. There would be additional study hours or tutorials.
It's a very good question,
Uh,
actually.
what is he asking again? Fatih Bey?
Study hours.
What do you mean?
Actually, we only provide in class like lab hours, which is about 3 hours on Wednesdays. but we also require you to do your own study about like 12 additional hours.
Yes, about 2 hours a day.
Yeah, about 2 hours a day in order to cover all the topics that we discuss in class, and as well as doing the assignments, just to complete your assignments.
Frank Polat, do you have or planning to add any class for specific security-related programs such as CyberArk, McAfee, EPO, Checkpoint, IAM, IAM in general, Identity and Access Management,
Yeah.
or SIM, etc.? So we don't plan, at least not today, to provide a specific class for a specific topic like CyberArk or McAfee EPO. But some of these, for example, some of the SIEM solutions are covered as part of the class, such as Alien Vault and Splunk, but we don't, for example, cover any of the McAfee products.
Regardless of the technology here or the brand, we cover most of these topics, but it's not going to be like McAfee EPO, but we cover these technologies in our network devices, and the technologies are used to protect your host systems. And in terms like CyberArk, password management systems, as well as the firewall logs are really important, and we deeply cover that because most of our analysis, and we have to just read those raw data from the raw data generated from the different type of firewalls. So regardless of the brand and the vendor, yes, we do cover most of these. And also when it comes to like the term SIEM solutions, we do cover like Splunk, Alien Vault, QRadar already. But on top of that, we highly recommend and we teach our students that how to read the raw data regardless of the technology. Because today you start working in a company, they use Splunk, and the next day they may use another technology. So we just try to be focusing on what is behind the scenes. This is what we teach our students, so they don't have to be stressed out, when they see the new technology. Because learning tools, how to use them, it's easy, but learning the idea, what is going on behind the scenes, hard to learn actually.
Yeah.
So.
Ali Gümüş Bey says other states. I think we covered that, Ali Bey. If you visit that website, cyberseek.org, you will see those numbers on that website. Ahmet Bey is asking, online courses will be on your website or will be broadcasted from YouTube? We're not going to broadcast it from YouTube. We're going to be using WebEx, and it's not going to be necessarily on the website, but we'll be providing necessary information for you to be able to attend that online session. Ahmet Bey, we answered. Nuray Hanım from Jersey is asking. No, I did answer that. Ahmet Bey. Yep. She's asking, you just said numbers of your certificate. What does that mean? Did I say numbers of certificates? If I did, I made a mistake. We're going to have grade about the scores. So you're not going to be graded in the course at all. You are going to take a certification exam after you complete the course, which is called Security Plus. We don't administer that exam. We don't. CompTIA, it's an organization. They deliver that exam. It's a completely separate exam. And we have nothing to do with that exam in terms of delivery or administration, right? You're going to take that exam by yourself, but we're going to teach you everything you need to know for that specific exam. And that's the only certification we're going to ask you to take. We're not going to ask you for any other certifications. You just need to have Security Plus certification. Hope that answers your question. Just 3 days scheduled times will be enough for the newbies, or we have to keep working on for other days. Well, yes, you need to spend, again, at least the same amount of hours, at least 12 hours by yourself every week if you want to be successful at the end of this program. I am cybersecurity recently graduate student. I will definitely join if you can help me to get Security Plus certification and find the entry-level jobs. I live in Chantilly too. Oh, great. We are in Chantilly. That's great.
You should be enrolled with the in-class one. That's highly recommended since you are, close to us and living in Chantilly area.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I do have, by the way, just so you all know, we do have a student in class in this cohort who has a cybersecurity bachelor's degree, 4 years cybersecurity degree, and he's learning as well.
Ali
Just to
Bey,
make sure.
yes, actually we will be recording all our sessions, and then you will have opportunity to just review and rewatch those sessions as many as you like.
It's Fatih Bey from North Carolina is asking, do we need any specific configuration on our computer to do to practice on our lessons? Yes, you do. You'll bring your own laptop. Well, online ones, you'll have your own laptop anyways. So you need to have at least a laptop with i5 CPU, i5 or i5 plus, or and 8 gigabyte of RAM, 8 gig RAM, and i5. That's the minimum. Mm-hmm. If you have that, that's going to be sufficient. If you have 16 gig of RAM, that's great, but not required. Rabia from Jersey is asking, is there any chance to retake Security Plus exam? Yes. You can take the exam again. It's not the end of the world if you fail it. Those of you who are from Turkey should know OSS exam. You take it once a year. It's not like this. You can take it as many times as you want. Well, hopefully you'll only have to take it once, but you can retake the exam. In fact, some of the vouchers they offer in CompTIA Marketplace, it allows you to retake it. The voucher comes with a retake option, meaning if you fail it once, you can then take the exam the second time. Enes Mustafa Bey, does it make difference MacBook or Windows operating system during learning? No, it doesn't make any difference at all. However, we use, I personally, and Ömer Bey also uses MacBook.
So I find personally actually Macs are like easier and user friendly, and especially while we are working on the VM environment, we will have like multiple virtual machines will be running at the same time, so it will be easy for us to just switch from one to other. So we find it like more user friendly.
Yep.
But it's totally up to you. We have students who have Windows operating system and also Mac operating system as well.
Batuhan, we thank you as well for spending 2 hours of your time on a Monday evening.
Yeah, actually, thank you all.
Thank you for coming. Cem Solikonov, what is the price for entire course? So the online is 2,500 with the $500 discount. If you're asking about in-class, I'm not sure where you live. In-class version is 4K with a 1K discount. So it comes down to 4K if you're talking about in-class. And it's 3 months long. Ibrahim Bey is asking, I have only a high school diploma. Is that okay?
Online will be back to Jam's question actually. It will be like 3K. This is the regular price, but since we are giving this a second time, and then there will be a $500 discount, and price will be $2,500. And we are located in Chantilly, Virginia, for in-class students.
Yep.
And let's get back to Ibrahim Bey's question.
I have only high school diploma. Is that okay? So that's another one of those questions. I can't say yes or no to that question. All I can say is it is easier to find a job if you have a bachelor's degree. It is more difficult if you only have a high school diploma. You're going to have much more difficult time finding a job. Is it impossible? No. You can find job with a high school diploma. In fact, big companies like Google, it doesn't require a bachelor's degree. It requires high school degree for most of its current roles.
And also, I have many friends actually. I know them very well. So they came from like different countries, and they only have like high school diploma. But we will be covering this gap actually by just taking these certifications in IT security field. So
that's the goal.
Starting with the Security Plus certification, it will cover like a couple of years of the bachelor's degree and as well as a number of years of experience. But as Hassan mentioned earlier, you will never stop taking those courses and as well as the certification for your entire life as long as you
Yeah.
stay in this field.
Yeah. For example, just to give an example to that question, my I hope my director is not watching, but my senior my senior director, I know she got her associate's degree very recently, very recently, and she's my senior director. If you think about it, I'm a senior manager. There's a director, and then there's a senior director above that, and she just got her associate's degree. She's been with the company for a long time. Of course, that doesn't mean you can become a senior director right away, but it I guess it tells you that it's not impossible. But you really need to work harder than people who have bachelor's degrees. That's for sure. Where are you located? We're located in Shantil. Okay.
Yep, answer that.
Enes is asking, is
Yes.
it not too long? Saturday session is 7 hours. It's actually not non-stop 7 hours. We would definitely not do that to you. 7 hours is too long. We have breaks in between every hour, and we have a little bit longer break,
So
half
an
an
hour
hour
lunch
break,
break actually.
lunch break at noon time as well for lunch. So it's not non-stop. It's just like a regular lesson, 1 hour short break, another hour
And
very short
also,
break.
we started with the lectures, so you just get tired of listening lectures, all the topics and the terminology, and then we change the topic and start doing something and hands-on. So that's why it's easier to not get tired actually. So it will.
Yep.
Okay.
Jam,
And
we thank you for joining.
mhm.
And
How much
Nurai
percent?
is asking how much percentage, okay, percentage-wise, do your students pass this exam? Okay, great question, and there's no answer to this one as well. Our first cohort is actually graduating within the next 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks. So we will be able to give you numbers after that. But one of them already got his Security Plus before he even started.
Yeah, actually, two of them has already Security Plus. Two of those students.
Yeah.
But most of our students are already studying for the book, and then some of them already covering for the second time during the class. And we highly recommend to take the certification at the end of the 3 months. But the author of this book just recommend us to take the test after 45 days. So it's not hard. It's just a matter of just focusing on what you are studying on, just spending some, dedicating some time on study. So it's about like 400 pages or 450 pages of book. So it shouldn't be so difficult, especially for the people who came from, you know, outside of the United States. We are already get used to take some more difficult exams in our life.
Yeah.
So.
And I know this person's one of our young sisters, so that should be fine. That it should actually be easier for you as well.
Perfect.
Any other questions? Questions from Jersey? Make sure you ask all your questions. We're here. We only got a couple questions from North Carolina. Did we have some from Chicago?
Yes.
Are you going to follow up and continue giving support alumni till they find a job? Yes.
Yes.
Period. Yes. Once you just because you graduated doesn't mean we're done with you. We're going to be supporting you along the way. Actually, we're not going to even leave you at all. You're going to be with us throughout your career. Once you land your first job, we're going to be bothering you to refer some of our next graduates as well. That's how it works in CyberNow. We do everything by the book. So people like to refer. For example, I'll be referring some of my students to, for example, Capital One jobs or other jobs, and we ask the same from our students as well. Refer as many students as you can. Once you find out that there's an opening in your company, feel free to refer. We're going to open up actually an alumni group just for alumni, and to be able to share that knowledge and news with the alumni. Okay. Any other questions before we close? I did receive some emails here asking whether I received their application or when can they visit us and so on. So if you are thinking about applying seriously, then please go to cybernowlabs.com and click on apply now. And once you submit that form, we will have your application for sure. And in the comments section, you can briefly talk about yourself, just so that we have an idea of who's applying and who's not. And then what else? Did we miss anything?
Fatih Behran,
Yeah.
do we have to learn need to use any kind of?
No, you don't need programming language,
Oh
and we're not going to teach programming language at all. If you do know some programming languages, then yes, that's great. It's a plus, but it's not required. Um, and the only programming language you may learn along the way in the future may be Python, but you don't need to know the other ones. Any other questions? Before we wrap it up, again, if you have any questions, send it to info@cybernowlabs.com and visit our website at cybernowlabs.com and click on apply now. And that's it. That's all I have today. If there's no other questions.
MB has a question.
All right, last question from MB. How long you're working on your daily job right now? 9 to 5. I don't have specific hours, but I would say 9 to 5-ish, depending on the day, depending on my daily schedule. And
so actually, as a manager, I don't have any specific schedule as well, but my guys are supposed to be there. We have like 3 shifts, and they are working 10 hours on 4 days a week. So usually they come around like 7 to 5, and the next shift is coming like from 3 to 1, and the third shift, overnight shift, is coming like 11 to 9 a.m. as well. So we do have like 3 shifts. But some organization I work in the schedule before, they have the 12 hours shift. So they ask you to work on 12 hours for the first week, and the second week you are required to work for 4 days from 12 hours. So basically you are working total number of 14 days in a month, and you will have 16 days left for vacation, free time.
Yep.
So.
All right, so that was the last question. Thank you, and Azat Bey, thank you everyone for coming and spending your time tonight with us, listening to us. I hope we weren't too boring. And
sorry about my cough as
yes,
well.
It's winter here, so and again, send your questions to info, email, and if you are considering applying, please do so today to save your spot. Thank you, and everyone, have a great night, day. Talk to you all soon.
All right.
Bye.
Okay.